So I gotta say, I am completely excited for this video today because I have something brand new considering a side hustle. And specifically in this video, of course, we're gonna talk about DoorDash. And again, I'm very excited because I absolutely guarantee you're going to get a ton of value in this video because I'm bringing on my close friend Jess, who just completed her first shift as a DoorDash Dasher. Jess is a busy mom, a parent, and we're talking about side hustles. So again, I am super excited for this interview today. I know you're going to get a lot of value. So with that, Jess, welcome to the channel. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. And again, I know how busy you are. I appreciate you joining here and taking your time. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of, why were you thinking about a side hustle and what was kind of important for you when it comes to a side hustle?
Well, I have two kids. My daughter's in school, but my son is home because he's only 2. So I needed something that I could kind of do on my own time without like having a shift exactly. Because like I can't just come and go all day long. It has to be a very specific amount of time. I can take my son with me if I have to. I haven't done that yet, but that is an option for me. And I am able to be home before my daughter gets off the bus, which is super important because I don't have anyone else to pick her up. I chose this because it was the easiest one to kind of get started on.
Folks, I was talking to Jess about, what to try. There's Uber Eats. And actually, I mentioned this to you, Jess, like, hey, you should sign up for Uber Eats, Grubhub. And we settled on DoorDash. Was there any specific reason? Like why DoorDash?
I think the app was easiest to use. I signed up for Uber Eats also. I haven't just like used Uber. Like I've used
Gotcha.
DoorDash myself. So I was more familiar with that than I would be for the Uber Eats. But I have an account. I just haven't done anything with it.
Cool. And folks, there's a power hack. Again, I mentioned to Jess, like, hey, you should multi-app. You should drive on as many apps as possible so you have the best options. But, her strategy was, I want to get comfortable. I want to get familiar with just one app first before I really kind of juggle 2 or 3 apps, which I think was a good call. So some food for thought there if you're considering a side hustle and you're new as well. So Jess, we were talking on the phone during this shift and you had a very interesting first delivery experience. And again, today we're just talking about your first shift.
Okay.
So you had a particular customer to protect her identity. We'll call her Sarah, right? But tell me what happened with this delivery. The first request, which was a stacked order. So it's 2 or more assignments for one driver. Talk to me and our audience. What happened at the restaurants? And then I guess we'll get into what happened with the customer.
Okay. So initially, I think I went to the wrong restaurant first and the order wasn't ready. So I waited there and I was there for maybe like 20 minutes because they were telling me that it was going to be, and it wasn't. But so finally, when I got that first order, I went over to, what was it, Chipotle. And the Chipotle order wasn't ready either. So I waited 20 minutes at this other restaurant and then I don't even know how long I waited for Chipotle, but I had messaged her specifically like, hey, I'm just getting here to your order. I'm waiting on it now. And she immediately messaged me back, are they busy? Because nobody ever took this long with my food. And initially my anxiety through the roof because it was my very first order I had taken at all. And I didn't understand that it was a stacked order. I was kind of confused, but it was just the most money. So I just pressed yes. So I'm trying to juggle these 2 orders and not knowing at all what I'm doing. So I texted her back, I'm sorry, I'm doing the best I can. I'm waiting in line right now. And they finally handed me her order. I waited like another 10 minutes after she had messaged me. And they handed me her order with her name written on the outside of the bag. And one of the main rules with the food deliveries, you're not allowed to open the bag and
Right.
So they didn't have the receipt normally that they would like outside of the bag when you get Chipotle. All it said was her name written in pen. And it says check the bag but I can't open the bag. Like they taped the bag shut. So like there's nothing I can do. So I texted her like, hey, I'm on my way with your order. And I delivered her order, I believe, first because hers was supposed to be there first. So I wasn't late, but she kept texting me like, this is the longest I've ever had to wait for food. And I'm just like panicking the whole time I'm driving there because I'm like, what if she comes out? Like, what am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And I just walked up. It said leave the order at the door. So I walked up, I left it at the door, I took the picture, and I got back in the car and I drove away. The minute like I drove away because I was on my way to the next delivery, it popped up that she texted me and said my order is completely wrong.
That's right.
And I didn't know what to do. So that's why I called you, because I was like, what should I say? Because like, what do I do in that situation? And you had sent me like a template text message to send her. But I was in the middle of like the delivery. I was taking the second delivery. So I wanted to like wait till I'd finished that. Like I have to finish a task before I start a new one. So I was like waiting so I delivered this other food and I went to go send her that message and it timed out because I was done with that delivery. So I could never message her that what she needed to do. And then that was the end of that.
Exactly. It was something else to see live. I mean, and I'm glad I was there. It was pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie, but I'm glad that I coached you. Folks, here's what happened. Jess had a stacked order. The two restaurants, the first one was busy, got to the second one, which was for, again, we'll call her Sarah's order. It was the Chipotle, like you mentioned. It was also busy. Got that text where the customer's like, hey, noob, I never wait this long. And I'll tell you this, folks, I told you this too, Jess. I was like, this is very rare. I'm like, it's going to be very rare that you have a customer that gets kind of snippy with you. And I mean, you asked me again, what do I say? And I mean, you can say, hey, unfortunately there's a wait. There's a good amount of other drivers here. I've checked in your order. And then you had that second problem that she said, hey, my order's completely wrong. And like you mentioned, the anxiety kind of spikes. And you said, what do I do? I mean, you're getting worried and anxious, like, oh, she's flipping out. And, I mentioned to you is, you can't open the bag necessarily. And a lot of these places, it may be actually taped or stapled closed. So, unfortunately, especially, for the customer, it disconnects the line of communication like you saw. And folks, if you can call or text the customer, if it doesn't disconnect because you've moved on, you can simply text them and say, hey, I do apologize. Unfortunately, I'm not able to open your bag to verify the contents. What I recommend, and this is what I recommended, you do, Jess, is, you reach out to support and they can offer you a full refund. I mean, as a delivery driver, that's kind of the best, thing you can do there. So I would say that was definitely a problem or a surprise. Now, I know you've done a few other shifts. Was there any other problems or surprises on the first shift? I mean, how are the wait times in general in that first day?
I think the only problems was the wait times because I took another order from that Chipotle and it was the same issue. Waited a really long time and wasting my time almost because I had to wait so long for one order and I didn't want to cancel orders after I already accepted them. So I kind of just had to bite the bullet and just wait. So I ended up having to go like towards home before I really wanted to because I just wasted a lot of time waiting.
Yeah. That was a big takeaway. I remember, I mean, again, you've since done some other shifts, but the learning point of knowing, all right, this Chipotle, maybe they always drop the ball. And I remember, well, talk to me because I told you, hey, you don't want to accept and then cancel because it hurts your completion rates. Too many of those, you can't get deactivated. You can decline all day. And I mean, talk to me about that. I mean, have you thought about that strategy of canceling sometimes for those circumstances, wait times, or whatever it may be? And, or are you starting to decline more orders because you're allowed to decline? Talk to us about that.
I think I am declining a lot more orders. I have made the mistake of taking like Walmart orders on different shifts, and Walmart has been the main thing that has messed up where I've had to cancel an order. I did actually call customer service yesterday about a Walmart order that was canceled on their end, but I still was waiting for it. So I had to call service and then they canceled the order on my end. So I didn't get like penalized for canceling the order.
Right.
But then the thing that happened at KFC that we talked about, when I went to KFC, this was one of the other orders and it was a distance that I didn't really want to drive, but it was paying pretty well. So I was like, I'll take it anyway. Because it was late at night. It was like 9:30. So I went to this KFC, I pull up and I tell them I'm here for whoever. And the guy at the counter told me that it had already been picked up. And I know what to do with that information because that's never happened to me before. And I was like, well, it hasn't, because I'm here for it. And he was like, no, somebody just came for that. And he told me exactly what the order was. It was the same exact name. And so I had to cancel it. I went to the little question mark and I said, I can't do this order.
Right.
I pressed something else at the bottom, canceling it. But the funny thing is I actually got another request for that same exact delivery 15 minutes later.
Really?
Yes. And
The same delivery.
same place and everything. And I
Oh.
declined it because I was like, I don't want to go back to this restaurant and have to deal with this again. I think somebody must have picked it up, and then the guy that worked at KFC wanted to close. It didn't seem like he was interested in making it again.
Okay, so that KFC order, yeah, folks, it happens. And I was telling Jess, I was actually on the phone with you on this other shift with this KFC issue. I was joking, you got all the problems kind of as a new driver here. So, folks, what DoorDash tells you to do, if someone picks up your order, I don't know, on accident, or sometimes these apps can be glitchy, it happens. So they instruct you to message Dasher support. You can do that right in the app. Just note there's a problem with that delivery, and they will pay you for that delivery, at least a partial payment, because you're taking your time to drive to that pickup location. And of course, there's going to be a note on that delivery, just so it's not a straight cancellation, because obviously you don't want to cancel a ton of orders there. So, all right, Jess, you've done the first shift, and we're going to get into Jess's actual earnings on this first shift in just a second. So now, knowing what you know now, talk to me about your driving strategy, a little bit of what you've learned.
To definitely pay attention on where the orders are taking you for the delivery. Because at first I was just kind of trying to find the highest paying, and then I'd end up driving circles or someplace that I didn't really want to go. And now if I really look like where I can go to deliver this, if I can pick up orders on my way back, that way I get paid to kind of like drive back and forth, because I have to go kind of a distance from my house to start orders. So the other day I got paid to like basically drive all the way home, because I was being strategic about where these orders are taking me versus just picking them for money.
Yeah, positioning, folks. We talk about it. Positioning is big. Finding those, what we call power strips, areas that are really dense with restaurants, clusters of restaurants to stay busy. Actually, Jess, so at least I think on the first shift and other shifts that you've been on, there has been some bonus pay. Hasn't it been like what, $2 or $3 bonus pay, or?
Like $2 the first time I did it.
Cool. Well, with that, let's see how those earnings were, because I'm really curious to go over this with you. And there's some very important takeaways here, folks. So here's Jess's first shift. So we have a gross revenue, a total take-home pay of $38.50. This is before taxes, because of course this is gig work here. So DoorDash pay $18.50, customer tip $20, active time, that is when you're on an assignment, 2 hours and 5 minutes. Dash time, just when you're online in general, 3 hours and 15 minutes for 5 deliveries. So, I mean, Jess, people looking at this, they're going to say, well, hey, that's like $12 an hour, but folks, this is completely normal. I don't want you to get discouraged, especially because this was Jess's first shift, maybe your first shift as well. Let us know down below in the comments. How do you feel about the earnings? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you would have liked to earn more, but kind of what did you learn, and what's your take on the earnings?
It wasn't really that bad. I wasted a lot of my own time just scrambling, trying to find out where to go. But I learned a lot from that. So it was probably a good thing. I didn't really have a set amount I wanted to make in mind either. So I wasn't like upset really. Any money was good money for me at that point. So I think that would be a good way to go about the first couple shifts, maybe. Like any money is more money than you already have.
Would you say that with that positioning, that seems like it is really important, driving, making sure the miles makes it? Well, let's talk about that. So the miles that you drove in the first shift, have you gotten better with the miles, driving less what we call empty miles without an assignment? How was that on this first shift versus other shifts you've done?
The first one was definitely an issue, because whenever I would look at the map and see that there was like hot zones or the little red circles. I would try to drive towards them, even though I didn't really have a reason to. And then once I got there, I tried to take some last minute orders before I headed home. I went to like a little hot spot and ended up sitting there for 20 minutes only to get one offer for an order for like $3. So I drove all the way, like halfway back out for nothing, where I could have
exactly
stayed in the area I was in.
That is such a power statement, folks. I mean, rewind that if you have to listen to that again. So, I mean, Jess, what happened there is something that I see it's common. It's driving to those hot zones in the app, or just drive into a certain maybe busy zone or an Uber Eats, whatever you drive on that app. And you'll find, like you saw, it can be a waste of time sometimes. And it seems like it's a good area, but you also said, folks, let me know down below in the comments if you agree with this, but you're starting to figure out and learn when it's going to be a busy shift versus when it might be slow. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can definitely, like I said, how the vibes were off. You could tell fairly quickly. With like the first 1 or 2 orders, if you kind of get in a flow with it, it'll probably be a good day. But if the first 2, 3 orders are just like a struggle, it's not. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, I mean, folks, look, I say this is not hard. Food delivery, a lot of these side hustle apps, it's not hard, but that's what makes them hard, to optimize your time, your miles, and your earnings. That's what we do here, folks. It's my job to help you make money in different side hustles. And here's just a little bit of a breakdown of that day as well, just, online, offline time here. And I appreciate Jess for being here. And certainly, again, if you got value with Jess being here and sharing her first shift, let us know down below in the comments. If you want to see more reports and interviews with Jess, definitely let us know and drop a like on this video. So with that, Jess, any final kind of a verdict here of, your strategy going forward? And I'll ask you this. I know it's early, I'm going to ask, but when might you add on Uber Eats to try another app? Or is that kind of maybe a couple of weeks down the road?
I don't know, maybe in like a week or so. I'm definitely getting more comfortable with the app, but I have a hard time doing multiple things at once, me personally. If you're good at doing something like that, you could do better with that. But for me, it's like one thing at a time until I get super comfortable with it.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. I'm excited to coach you and our team members as well. So consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. Jess, I appreciate you being here. I am pumped to see more of your shifts. Again, thank you for being on the channel today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And folks, again, if you got value, can you do us a favor here? Can you drop a like on this video? Much appreciated. And you can also click or tap screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you. And I'll see you in the next one.